It had 3 legs, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink big eyes as flashlights. So I'm like, huh? What the hell is this? Let me look it up. Let me see some pictures
Sounds
of
like
this,
a homunculus.
of this thing.
Oh, this is in the western suburbs of Chicago. This isn't far from me. This is like probably like an hour and a half west of where I am.
So this is the thing that came up.
It looks like a homunculus. Send that to Juan.
It kind of does look like a homunculus, but like, have you heard of this story at all? And
this is literally this is my first time ever hearing this, and I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah,
Would
bro.
you capture it? Would you eat it? Or would you just sell it?
Las distracciones y narrativas reinan este mundo tecnológico. Todos tienen una opinión de lo que es la verdad y lo que es mentira. ¿Quién controla el mundo? ¿Los aliens son real? ¿Vivimos en un Matrix? Estas preguntas serán debatidas con José y Daniel G, explorando y descubriendo las verdades de nuestro mundo, nuestras creencias y nuestro reality. Welcome to Cultura Truth Project.
Oh, yeah, dímelo mi gente, welcome back. Es otro episodio de Cultura Truth Project. José G, Danny G, aquí con ustedes. What's up, bro?
El proyecto de la verdad. ¿Qué es la que hay, mi gente? Mi nombre es Daniel G, el hermano de José G, the CEO and founder of Gonzalez Media Company. Oh my God, are we being so official right now? This feels a little bit. Man, okay, first of all, like I've done for the last couple episodes, I want to give a shout out to the brand new countries listening from all over the world. Give it out to Italy. Prego,
Ooh.
my people, what's going on? Canada coming in hot. So is Jamaica. Out of all places, Jamaica. Blah, 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 clap, blah, clap. Anyway, guys, I don't know. But I'll see, no, man, I'm excited for today's episode. It's going to be a fun one. It's a good friend of ours.
Yeah, we got a good friend of mine in the show today.
He's not only your friend, he's my friend too. But
yeah, he's your friend. He was my friend before he was your friend, bro. So.
Yeah, it's like most of your real friends are like people I introduced you to. Now we're just in reverse.
Yeah. Anyways, but he's a really good friend of mine, but he's an excellent talent, radio host out in Chicago. But before we get started with the show, guys, make sure you follow us on all of our socials, on YouTube, on Rumble, at Cultura Truth Project. Follow us at Gonzalez Media TV, Facebook, Instagram, at Gonzalez Media TV, and subscribe to the podcast on all major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. And without further ado, let's bring one of my bearded broskies. He is a good friend of mine. I've known him for almost nearly 10 years. I can't believe that shit, bro. But we're bringing him to the show. He is a host on Q101 Radio in Chicago, streaming available on all platforms. Let's give it up for Kevin Kellam, broski. What's
Thank you. Appreciate it. Well, this is fun. Too many beards, one screen. I'm friends with both of you. I knew Jose first, but Daniel, but
yes. But we share a common bond that we cannot be broken, Kevin, and it's the grind and toil of the comedy world.
The grind and toil. Oh,
the embarrassment.
That sounds like an unreleased Metallica song. Grind and toil.
It does sound like an unreleased Metallica sound. Hell yeah.
Or it sounds like a really or it sounds like a really disgusting form of porn. Anyway,
hey, everything is, isn't it? Isn't that what Rule 34? Everything can be. Yeah.
Kevin, where can the people find you? Plug your stuff in, bro.
Sure. I'm really busy with podcasting across all the different platforms. Q101, as you mentioned, the greatest alternative rock radio station in the world, I think. You can hear me weekends on there. I'm going to have some type of a podcast project, hopefully coming out with them within the year. Nice. And we have a whole bunch of different podcasts. You just search Q101 podcasts. We have a lot of them. If you're into podcasting, check us out. You mentioned iHeart. Q101's on there. a lot of alternative music. We're doing a lot of really, really cool stuff. The big festival season's coming up. We're in Chicago, where one of the biggest music festivals in the world is. Lollapalooza, the original Lollapalooza in North America, is going to be there.
Nice.
Riot Fest. So we have all that coming up. If you go to our website, q101.com, we'll have a bunch of different contests for that. And then also I'm big in the comedy game. Daniel knows this, with Roast Battle Chicago, the uncrowned champions, I believe, of Roast Battle in the world. We're launching our Roast Battle tournament. 32 comedians, one tournament over 6 weeks. Single elimination. We start that this week on February 29th. You can watch all of those on our YouTube. We also have a Patreon with the uncut versions of it too. So just go search Roast Battle Chicago on YouTube. So we have a whole bunch of content for free that you can watch, and some of that behind the premium wall as well. So go check it out.
Man,
Go
a true
ahead and
professional with all the plugs.
Yeah, there's a lot of plugs in, but let's get into it, guys. So today we're going to freestyle this a little bit, because all of us have a little bit of a different background. You know, Danny and I, we're Puerto Rican. We grew up in Miami, grew up in Puerto Rico, but you're from Chicago. But one of the things
I'm in Humboldt Park, so I'm almost in Puerto Rico.
Well, yeah, it's
in Chicago. I'm basically.
This is true.
Yeah.
Right? This is true.
Yeah.
Us, Danny and I, at a young age, we were raised Catholic. We were raised, under certain rules and certain stories that our parents would tell us. And yeah, I know that you're Catholic. You've told me all this, behind scenes when we used to work together. And for the people that don't know, so Kevin and I used to work together. We used to work at a site called Sports Key. I think you still work there.
Yeah, I'm still there.
We wrestling content over there together, and that's how we grew our relationship, which is really cool. And we'll get to some wrestling stuff later, because I want to point out some pretty cool stuff that I've been noticing. But Kevin, dude, like, growing up in Chicago, bro, tell me what that was like. And growing up in that Catholic Irish household, and your parents telling you, don't do this or you'll get possessed, or don't do that and you'll get the
it wasn't that I would say Irish Catholic, there isn't so much of a lean towards, for lack of a better phrase, mysticism and that side of Catholicism, but it's definitely the shame complex, and you could hear a scary story when you're a kid and get into that, and I definitely was scared by some things. And we had the All Saints party before Halloween. You wouldn't dress up as a spooky person. You dress up as like a saint. And my parents are very devoted Catholics, and I'm raised in that. And I identify as Irish Catholic. I say that to people. I don't say I'm just an Irish. No, I'm not an Irish guy. No, I'm an Irish Catholic kid from the South. You say that around here. I don't know if it's still the case, but like at one point, 1/3 of the city of Chicago is Catholic. So I don't think that's the case anymore. But it's ingrained in the culture here. Chicago is a very diverse city, but there's a lot of the biggest populations in the city have some root in Catholicism. You brought up Puerto Rican people, Mexican people, general Latin American people. A lot of the Polish here, most Polish people in the United States in one city are here in Chicago. So a lot of that, a lot of praying to saints. St. Anthony, something's lost and can't be found. I pray to you that it'll come around. That's what you do when your keys are lost. You can't find your keys. You pray to a saint. And that might seem, that surface level, that may sound crazy. We may go into more crazier things. I assume that, but yeah, I would go through the woods where there was ghost stories and, St. Mary's cemetery, and you hear all these different things. And Chicago has a lot of ghost tours here, are still a very popular thing. Are we like New Orleans? No, I'm not saying it was haunted in New Orleans, but we're way bigger. So it's a lot more spread out and diverse and different things. Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So tell me, you and I, we have the comedy bond in common, and thing about comedians, I feel, especially like when it comes to like a lot of these subjects, the occult and like the creepy and the all that, like a lot of it. Yeah, we're already effed up people as it is, right?
Yes.
But then you add like the local comedy club and like the murder that happened 40 years ago, and the guy still haunts the place. You ever heard any of those stories, like from Second City or from any of the
clubs
I
I was a tour guide for like 10, 11 years.
Shut up, dude.
Yeah, I was on bosses. Yeah, between like radio jobs, and you'd have like 2 or 3 days off a week, so you go talk on a bus for 13 hours, right? And so doing that, you learn some stories. Chicago, especially with the organized crime stuff, there's a lot of like, I would say they verge more into the true crime realm of things if you want to have a search engine optimized conversation. But it's the truth of it. There's buildings I've been to that I've had like a meal in, and then someone tells me like, oh yeah, the Al Capone used to have a bar in the basement, right around the corner from the House of Blues. There's a building that like mob people that work for him owned, and they had some luxurious apartment. Harry Caray's restaurant. You go to it. It's right around the corner from the House of Blues, right off the Chicago River. The basement of it had a secret bar that they didn't know about until 15 years ago. And he's been dead since, died in Miami, by the way, syphilis. Of course,
makes sense.
Yeah,
makes
yeah.
sense. Makes sense.
So, I mean, there's a bunch of that. There's a bunch of haunted stories about this. There's a bunch of the Congress Hotel on Michigan Avenue. Very, very old hotel. Very, very haunted. And there's some people that don't want to stay there anymore. Have I had these supernatural experiences? No, but I've heard the stories, and there's plenty of them in Chicago. You can Google very easily.
What's the craziest story you've heard from that Congress Hotel that people don't want to stay in there?
The heat not turning on. Like, that constant, like everything is cold, like the temperature changes in a certain part of the room. And it's always like the ghost haunted thing is that the temperature changes very quickly. Which makes me think maybe you're diabetic now. Maybe it's you. Maybe it's something you ate. So there's that. Hey, in Chicago, it's very likely. So yeah, that is the Congress Hotel. I think you can see it right there in the center, right there, right past the. Yeah, so this is the that is the Buckingham Fountain. At one point the most expensive fountain in the world. And you're looking at the Congress Hotel. That sign there at one point was the tallest thing in Chicago when it was built. That's a 100-year-old hotel. Some people died there. Plenty of people have been haunted there. It's still on Michigan Avenue, though, too. It's still there. It's still the same.
So I could tell you I'm not staying at that hotel, and I don't even know what happened. I don't want to know what happened. I'm just like, hey, let the dead be happy in there. Okay. Personally, but that's just me. But I'm just a little biatch. You know what I'm saying? Just saying.
But
I ain't doing it.
It's interesting that you bring that up because a lot of the times when there's hauntings or a lot of paranormal activity, especially like at a building like that, that usually something happened before that building or something happened in that building. Do you know like any history of that building? Like what was there before that building was constructed or anything?
No, but the building has been around for a long time, and a lot of the history tied to it is based on ghost information handed out from tours and stuff like that. And so there's a lot of people that have these stories that they'll share on tours, and they kind of get handed down. And sometimes it's like telephone, right? So there's a lot of people that tie that to all those different things. It was the home of presidents. A lot of presidents stayed there. Taft, Wilson, Harding, Calvin Coolidge. So maybe people want to do that a little bit more. Teddy Roosevelt was there. So there's a lot of people that want to like say the sightings of ghosts are reported throughout the building. Still to this day, some people will say they've had an experience there. And some people just won't go on the record with it. But the 12th floor is supposed to be the really, really scary one. 12th floor near the North Tower. That's the one I would hear about. I'm trying to go through my old notes here.
So since you're one of me and Jose,
here we go. This is the come play with us, Danny. This is the specific photo.
I want to know.
Sorry.
Will you?
Two little girls, just like the you seen the movie.
Okay, I get it.
You remember the Stephen King movie?
It's creepy. It's creepy.
Yeah?
Creepy. We were in
the hallway.
We're getting there. We're getting there. But I have a favor to ask. Since you are the resident white guy that we know here on the podcast.
Yeah, I'll take it.
Will you, for Cultura Truth Project, stay overnight on the 12th floor for us?
Hell no. I ain't gonna do that.
You're more Puerto Rican than you know, Kevin.
No.
He was like, fuck that.
He's
I
like,
live with Latinos.
no.
Fuck this shit.
No.
That's the south side of Chicago, isn't it?
I'll go to my Puerto Rican Mexican landlord, ask to borrow his mom's flip flops, and just be ready if I even just walk by the building.
You gotta ask for the flip flop, the anointing oil, and the holy water with the alcoholado
on the flip flops,
and you're good.
On the flip flops, on the flip flops.
In the name of the Father, of the Son, and the Holy
With the flip flops.
You out, puñeta. Oh my God. That's funny.
Nah.
No, but you know what? Like, doing some research on like horror stories today, I came across some wild shit today.
I did too. We did our homework.
Like some wild shit, just because like I've always been told like certain stories, and there's other stories that you hear about, and those are the stories that are just kind of like crazy wild. So there's this one that I read today, and this is in Illinois. Have you heard of the Enfield Monster, Kevin?
No. Where is this?
Ooh.
So this is in Enfield, Illinois. Let me show you, bro. So this Enfield Monster is supposed to be like this 3-footed cryptid monster with like
the Mothman.
No, dude, it's not even a Mothman. It's
Mothman is like a recent thing in Chicago that some people have claimed they've seen Mothman.
No, dude.
Really?
This is kind of. I didn't know the Mothman was in Chicago. I've heard of the Mothman, but this freaking monster, dude. I was like, what the hell is this? So check this shit out, bro.
Fire it up. I want to see this.
Oh, he's not wrong. It came up on the third. Third.
You want to be real Chicago?
30 days ago. 30 days ago, it was reported. Look at this.
You start inserting unnecessary vowels.
So apparently in 1973, there was this unidentified creature in Enfield, Illinois. Okay. And apparently the description of it was that, hold on, let me bring it up over here. It had 3 legs, a short body, 2 little short arms, and 2 pink big eyes as flashlights. So I'm like, huh? What the hell is this? Let me look it up. Let me see some pictures
Sounds
of
like
this
a homunculus.
of this thing.
Oh, this is in the western suburbs of Chicago. This isn't far from me. This is like probably like an hour and a half west of where I am.
So this is the thing that came up.
It looks like a homunculus. Send that to Juan.
It kind of does look like a homunculus, but like, have you heard of this story at all? And
this is literally this is my first time ever hearing this, and I've lived here my whole life.
Yeah,
would
bro.
you capture it? Would you eat it, or would you just sell it?
I think selling it would probably be the best option, just for my long-term future.
Amazon drop shipping. Good choice.
Yeah.
How much you think? That Enfield monster probably go on the black market?
Oh, wow.
Cool, 500.
Probably a lot.
Cool,
but Chicago, we have a history of like getting not weird things, but like things that other people have in our city that are like on display. Like the museums, we're one of the best museum cities in the world, I think. And like we have a Nazi submarine. You can go see it. We have it in a museum. we have a legitimate Nazi submarine that was caught off the coast of Canada that was been brought through the Great Lakes over a highway and is on display in the Museum of Science and Industry.
Why am I not surprised that one of the most liberal cities in America has a Nazi submarine in their in their museum?
Why not? Sorry,
just National Socialist. It's fine.
No, but also screw the Nazis, dude. Like, what do we care? What do we care?
Fuck the Nazis.
Look at this shitty submarine. This is what they had. No wonder we beat their ass. You know, like, that's why.
It's very Chicago of you. Yeah. It's very Chicago of you. Your offensive line sucks, but look, we beat the freaking Nazis.
F you and F your goddamn submarine. The only submarine we care about is Mr. Submarine. Great subwood shop. The best subways in town. You want screw Subway? I know there's a lot of Subways, but Mr. Submarine. You want a sub? You go to Mr. Submarine.
Okay.
You want a foot-long barbecue beef? That's where you go.
All right. I'm gonna get to a real creepy story that I think Jose and you are gonna appreciate. Now, this story inspired a lot of like Hollywood possessed doll stories. This is the original story. Okay.
The original creepy doll.
The original creepy doll. Okay. Now, this story is actually based out of Key West, Florida. Okay.
Of course,
Jose, Key West, Florida. It is the story about Robert the doll. Okay.
What?
Now,
who names their doll Robert?
Check this out.
Some Floridian.
Right? Some Floridian, basically. So
like some Florida bullshit.
So basically, the story goes is some German immigrants that moved to Florida ended up settling in Key West. They had a kid, and the kid didn't have any friends, so they gave him this doll. And he would talk to the doll, and there were reports, from people in the city that when the kid was home alone, that they would hear voices coming out of the room that wasn't him, that when nobody was home, there would be like somebody moving upstairs in the kid's room, and every time somebody would come in, it was Robert the doll just sitting there normally. Now, this is interesting because this doll is on display at the Key West Museum. And for you to even look at the doll, you need to write a letter to Robert, right? Requesting an audience with Robert, okay? And hopefully he will, when you go, he will look at you as in to bless you in a weird way. It is an undying true story and is one of the creepiest ones.
True. This is some grade A Carney bullshit. If you ever asked me.
Listen, if anyone
apparently
believe anything about Carney bullshit, it should be you, Kevin.
I know, but I'll embrace it as Carney bullshit. I'll know what it is. Like I'll embrace the ritual.
But I've seen this story, and I've known about this story for many years. Okay. But there have been accounts of people that have taken pictures without getting Robert's permission. Okay. And these people have been like encountering some crazy ass shit without the doll even being at home. So these people have been forced to go back to Key West to apologize to Robert so all that phenomenon would stop. Now, how true is it? I don't know.
But it's the original story. It's the one that inspired like Annabelle, Chucky, and all this. That's the original story. And I think it's creepy. First of all, it's also in Florida, so which makes sense. But I don't know, man. Why would you name enough Robert?
Don't you have enough like poisonous snakes and iguanas falling out of trees and just entire towns where an alligator is a mayor or something? Like, don't you have enough problems?
Listen, we can say the same thing about Chicago and y'all's guns violence.
No,
okay?
It's just guns. It's just guns. Bang, 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 guns.
It's just guns and Jesse Smollett. It's fine.
Listen, in Florida,
a guy who claims to have a gun
where men eat faces off of each other's faces, and things come back to life. It's just like Florida's just weird, which is why we're talking about this story, because this story's been featured on documentaries.
I like the ritual of it. I enjoy sideshow things. Daniel, I know you have history in Austin. I went to the Museum of the Weird there.
Oh that's a good one.
I loved it. It was so ridiculous. Even the things I knew weren't real, that were like fake animals they like crafted together. I enjoy all of that. I enjoy like the myth of it. It doesn't have to be real for me to enjoy what you're creating. That you want to root or inspire in reality, or it claims this place. Like I enjoy that. So I'm not pissing on the fire, but I'm saying someone started that fire. That fire didn't start.
Oh no, 100%, 100%. But you have to also understand, the Latinos in the room, we know that doll was possessed. So to us, it's real.
Bro, that doll was possessed, bro. That doll had a demonio up in him, bro. For real.
Listen, I don't even like looking at the picture just in case. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, look at that damn doll, bro. That doll definitely is demonic. Look at that shit, bro. And for the podcasters, this is for the YouTube viewers. I mean, look at that damn thing, bro. If you're making eye contact with that thing, you're definitely getting nightmares, man. And this is a picture from 2011, Kevin.
Yeah.
They keep it in a box?
They keep it in a box.
Glass box, bro.
Dude, if they really want to do what they have to do is they have to keep it in the box, right? And like, you want to really ramp it up, dude? Just to have like a puff, of air. You're like on the glass. That's all you got to do, dude. That's all you got to do. You have to figure out how to get it.
I'm already not stepping foot in that museum. And if there's a video of Robert the doll puffing air, even if it's fake, I'm not I refuse. No, fuck that. Mira que no. Kevin, que no. Te lo digo.
Kevin, knowing the information that you know right now, would you enter that museum with no protection at all?
Yes, I would. No protection? Okay,
nice to know you.
No. Out of politeness for others, I would wear a scapular. I would wear something. I would have some rosary beads. How about that?
Okay.
Water gun with holy water.
With holy water.
Holy water. Okay, good one.
A little one. Now I'm not bringing like a super soaker.
I'll make sure to bring my anointing oil.
I'm still from Chicago. You know what I mean? I gotta have a gun.
Listen, I'll make sure to bring my anointing oil and my Bible, and I'll pray a blessing over you before you walk in.
En el nombre del Padre, del Hijo y del Espíritu Santo. Go.
I send
you guys are reminding me of half the kids I went to high school with right
now. What do you got next, Jose? What other creepy stories you got next?
All right. So, exorcisms is something that Hollywood loves to talk about. Now, I believe in exorcisms. I think like that those are real things. But when I go through this list of some of these exorcism reports, I'm like, okay, so this one was in 2016 in North London. A 26-year-old Kennedy. I I don't know if it's Ife or Ife, began acting strange and aggressive following a pain in his throat. He reportedly bit his father, threatened to cut off his own penis, and complained of a python or a snake inside of him before his family restrained him to a bed with cable ties and excessive force. Then the BBC reported the family then set about attempting to cure, in quotes, Kennedy through restraint and prayer over the next 3 days. His brother says it's clear that thing was in him. We believe that it was a demon because it was not natural. It clearly was trying to kill him. We had to restrain him for himself. It was clear that if we didn't restrain him, we could have tried to harm people in our family. So these people clearly believe that this kid was possessed. You know, he was trying to cut off his own dick. So, man, I don't know, but dude, possession is real, bro. I don't care how much Hollywood and how much people deny that shit, bro. There's definitely some forces that we can't see that aren't here. And dude, you know, having like, even though I don't practice Catholicism, I don't call myself a Catholic, that's still a part of me that is like, nope, Satan, get away. But Kevin, like, what do you think, bro? Like, exorcism, is that something that you believe in? Is that something that you've heard of?
Some of it. The movie The Exorcist, I know everyone brings it up, right? That legitimately scared the shit out of me when I was a kid.
It still does.
Yeah, I got that movie like right before I got confirmed. Okay, so that movie legit. Jesus. Dude, you watch that late at night?
I don't want
to lights out late at night?
Nope.
No. I mean, it's either one of two things. Either the kid hung out with Joey Diaz doing all the ketamine in the world,
which is supposed to calm you down. It's supposed to calm you down.
No, I've seen some people going to some K-holes, dog. I've seen some people going to some K-holes. It's supposed to calm me down. You know, or he was truly possessed. Now, if he was truly possessed, you know, the Catholic / Pentecostal kid that I grew up as, you know, I'm over here like, oh, what did they use? A priest, or did they use like a pastor? You know what I'm saying? Like, did they get like hire an old school Latin pastor to like come and smack the crap out of the kid to get the demon out? Because, you know, it matters. Because we all know, we've seen the movies. These demons, they go into hiding, and then the kid looks fine for like 5-10 years, and then it comes back. So,
or that's just cancer. You know, I mean, sadly,
that's also a demon. We repeat the name of cancer. I don't know. I don't know. Yeah. I don't, but I will say this, man, you know, like, especially, I used to go to a church, like after Jose moved out the house and he got, you know, became an adult. I was still in like late middle school, high school. Started going to this church. And I remember when I was a kid, they would say like, they would do like exorcisms at the church. Like they would bring people and like pray over them, and people would like start convulsing. And
at the church?
The church, yeah.
That's when it's just performative to me, though. Like,
I don't know if it's performative because they would never do it.
That's where my wrestling mind comes in, and when I see shit like that, I'm like,
no.
We need the payoff at the big house.
I don't know.
We need the payoff in front of people.
I agree. There's a lot of it that is performative, right? And I'm not gonna deny the let's get people in the deal to scare the community, but I do know, like, one of the youth pastors that I grew up with, he would say, yeah, stuff like that never happens during like service or during regular times. Like, it's usually like families that reach out and they bring the kid, and then they start praying over the kid, and it'd be like, you know, a small circle of like 10 people praying for the kid, and then the, you know, this one particular
nothing scares a child more than a group of adults, some of them he doesn't know, you know, possibly just
kid, adult, yeah. But still, it's one of those things where it's like you hear, like, especially I remember hearing these things, and I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, yes, you have.
Sorry if I'm too skeptical. Sorry,
no, I'm not disagreeing with you, Kevin. I'm just saying, as you know, a Latin man who believes in the things that are unseen, it's not out of the realm of possibility. But also, the guy who understands entertainment and smoke and mirrors also goes, well. Is this just stories they tell to the youth group to get us to come to church and pray more?
Could be. Could be like a form of indoctrination, right? To kind of keep people in line, to tell these stories, to kind of like, oh, if you don't do this, you'll be possessed or some shit like that, you know? Could be.
I mean,
but, you know, when we look at the performance side of it, right? You know, just like Kevin was saying, you know, there is a part of me that's a little bit cynical, but there's also that other part of me that knows that it's real, but it's really hard to decipher. but this is where kind of like where wrestling kind of comes in for me, right?
Mhm.
Because being able to break down pro wrestling with Kevin and a lot of other colleagues within that space, for me, it's really given me an opportunity to really lift the veil up and see the world for really what it is. And for me, it's kind of like everything is scripted to a certain extent, right? If you look at the world at a whole, at a big picture, it's almost like a wrestling script. You have your good guys, you have your bad guys, you have your stories that are prolonging at a long time, and there's a payoff at some point. So my point to this is there's been a lot of stuff that's been happening within wrestling that I've been noticing, Kevin. That's a little occultish, bro.
Come on.
I'm
Really?
not gonna lie. It can't be by any coincidence, man. Like it can't.
Okay. All right. No, I'm here. I committed to the show, so I'm gonna go along. Doesn't mean I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear, Jose, but I'm gonna go along.
Listen, I don't want
We didn't bring you on to tell us what we want to hear.
But I do want to point
the bar
out
wrestling conflict makes heat, brother.
but I do want to bring some things up, especially with like Bray Wyatt, dude. Like, so we know Bray Wyatt. He was a very
Hold on, let's stop. The title to this episode is going to be Jose shoots on the occult in wrestling.
Arnie clickbait, baby. Get him in. Get him in.
10,000 views. Let's get it. So so Bray Wyatt. For me, it raises a lot of red flags. I'm not saying that Bray Wyatt was a satanic guy. I'm not saying that Bray Wyatt, participated in the occult. But his persona that he brought on camera was very occultish, right? So his first persona under, the swamp guy, that swamp persona, he was
the swamp wizard,
the eater of the world persona. Then he switched over to the fiend, and that was more demonic. He was channeling kind of like his inner demon and bringing that out to light. And then we saw that the fiend went away through fire. He got burned. So kind of like in an acting or a metaphorical way, you can kind of call that like a burning ritual, right? Mm-hmm. And then he comes back as his other persona, kind of divided, and then he dies unexpectedly at the age of 36, nearly at the height of his career.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of the stuff that he was doing as the Fiend and what he was doing at the Firefly Funhouse, that was very occultish. There was this one promo where there was upside down pentagrams, 666s, all sorts of crazy shit. Again, the entertainment side of it, to bring the woo-woo. But here's why I'm bringing in the
I love when people use woo-woo to cover like a whole bunch of different
exactly. It's too much.
So we're at this point and then woo-woo-woo.
Exactly. However, Bray, these characters that Bray is portraying are also written by WWE writers, and these writers, they're creative people, and they bring certain ideas to the wrestler, to the performer, to bring that character out. So it's a collaborative effort.
Sure. Yeah.
In order for,
especially with Bray,
with Bray, in order for these things to come to fruition, I firmly believe, Kevin, and you can debate me on this, that these writers have to have some type of occult knowledge in order to bring it about. Because why are you just going to put random shit on a promo or on a piece of or a vignette just to put it on there? There has to be a reason why those things were on there. And therefore, for me, I'm kind of bringing up to the conclusion that maybe Bray Wyatt was an involuntary type of a sacrifice in the grand scheme of things. I'm not really saying like there's like this conspiracy around Bray.
Are you saying his character on screen was in the storyline? Or are you saying that in reality? You got to be very specific about your wording.
I'm saying in reality, Wyndham Rotunda himself was probably involved in some type of a ritual. And I know you don't want to, but you have to look beyond the curtain, bro.
I am looking beyond the curtain.
All right. Now that I've laid it out for you, all right. What do you think about that? Plus, WWE has a history of doing some occult shit, bro. Look at what The Undertaker did, crucifying Stone Cold. So they've had like these occult presentations before. So they have to have some type of knowledge about this, bro.
What's the knowledge? What's the knowledge more than what we know? What's the knowledge? Hang on, let me make a point.
Yeah, go ahead.
What's the knowledge more than what's out there and how those things certainly evolve in how we process them. You brought up like imagery and all these different things, and how, especially with Bray, there were so many things that were done with him, even in this last little run with him on television, that were subversive. And the idea that's what makes him scarier and a little bit more dangerous and almost more compelling to follow as a character on a TV show with characters and stories, is you give him the most extreme things you had him do, which monsters, the devil, Satanism, cult, all these different things, and you bring that in. Now with the Undertaker, did you do some of that? Oh yeah, there was this incarnation of the Undertaker in various different a plethora of different variations of the same character, but they all have different styles, so you have that as well with Bray, and it allows you to do different things and tell outlandish stories with a wild budget, and also have a character that doesn't have to be out there a whole lot to keep the story going and keep it interesting. So I'm just talking about the objectives and the mechanism of this massive show to tell stories. Why not have an extreme, over-the-top character in this universe of characters where some of them are much more grounded? It's no different than Marvel, all right? No different than Marvel, where they have Iron Man, who's very technical, and everything about him is technical, and Captain America is very technical and has technical physical abilities that you can see on screen. And then let's give you Doctor Strange, where it's this guy goes through portals and goes in other dimensions and hell and God and Satan, all these different things. Bray Wyatt is essentially that. He's just... that, to me, it's still a character thing. I think it's a very unfortunate situation where someone passed away due to a rapidly developing heart condition. And that's what we know. And that's what's been said publicly. And that's what I believe. I don't think that he was a sacrifice for any of those things. I think that's distant dots that are separated between reality and fiction and characters that portray things. I understand how people sometimes want to, use a big word here, conflate them to cover the difference and make an argument and all those different things. But I say to you, Jose, he played a character. All right. He played a character that was definitely very dark, and he was inspired by things maybe in his own life to just run with them. No different than Stone Cold Steve Austin was watching a documentary about serial killers and said one of those guys was described as stone cold. Does that mean Stone Cold Steve Austin is a serial killer? No, he just means he went into something that was very, very dark, took it, and ran with it. I love this band who openly does songs about very evil occult things. It's big in heavy metal, and everyone says if you do a song about that means you're the devil. No, I'm going to go see the band Slayer in September, and they have songs openly about dark magic, all these different things, evil, awful destruction of humanity, all the dark parts of the world, which people Google and want to watch documentaries about. So they're writing songs about those things because they're as fascinated about them as anyone else is. And I really think this is someone portraying a character. And unfortunately, when something bad happens to them, it's easy to say, well, that's what you get for doing all that evil shit on TV. That's like, I think that's a little bit too much.
Now, I think
it's too big of a distance to cover between fiction and reality.
Now let's bring it down to reality. Jose went to the complete conspiratorial side of things. Now, let me ask you this. You know, as much as I know, being a performer, some people, like they say in the wrestling, they believe their gimmick, right? Yeah. And I've seen comedians believe their gimmick to the point where they do end up depressed and hurt because of what they do.
They can't live outside of their character.
Exactly. Now, when it comes to Bray Wyatt and his bouts with depression and all this that became public after his death,
sure,
right? I tend to believe maybe he wasn't a sacrifice, but maybe he was a victim of his own character, where he started to believe a lot of the things that he was doing. You know what I'm saying? That maybe
I could buy that more. I'm not ripping you, Jose. I could buy that more than. That's what you get for making a deal with the devil, brother.
But like the idea of making a deal with it, and this is something we've discussed on the podcast before, right? It's like these artists, let them be musicians or poets or whatever, people that sell their soul to the devil. How much of it is really them selling themselves to the devil, or them, selling out to this character that they built? Example, Bad Bunny. Example, insert whatever famous person that became super famous for that, ended up offing themselves because of, not being able to live to that expectations. Now, I think about a guy like Bray Wyatt. Yes, he had a heart condition and all that, but he also had all these other things going for him that he was very public about towards the latter days of his career, before his unfortunate passing. And I always wonder, it's like, did he believe his own gimmick? And if he believed that he was that dark of a person, really, what happens behind closed doors, no matter how good of a guy he is, no matter how good of a person he is, those battles he might have had when he was facing himself in the mirror or behind closed doors with his family, we will never truly know. And I tend to believe not necessarily that he was a sacrifice, but that he sold his soul to his gimmick. And maybe that's what led him to such a dark path and to these dark characters that between him and the WWE creative team came up with. And that's why it was so compelling. It's great art in such a way, but also like he was a big fan of Rob Zombie, and Rob Zombie is one of those guys too. So I tend to believe, like, from the artist perspective, it's like, I think he sold out to his own gimmick and it looks occultish, but really it's a dude just like, hey dude, I think this is
it's
really
a mental
cool
health practice. It's a negative practice mentally. Yeah. Okay. I could see that. I could get into that. Feels more tangible. Now the things that are intangible are harder for me to buy into. That's all I'm saying.
Nah, that's fine. And this show is all about being a little bit outlandish and having that debate.
Oh yeah,
right?
yeah.
And that's what it's about, because sometimes we'll talk about some crazy ass concepts that are just okay. You're like, that's definitely not real. But it's good to have this debate because there are conversations.
But you'll still put it on the table. You'll still
exactly.
Put it on the table and say, like,
and the reason I even brought it up, because when that whole situation happened, there's a side of TikTok where they were talking about is like the conspiracy behind Bray Wyatt. Was he a sacrificial ritual or some shit like that? At the end of the day, we don't even know, right? But I like what Danny put together there, that he sold himself to his gimmick. And I think that actually makes a lot of sense, because we've seen cases like that with like Heath Ledger, right? He got so committed to that character of the Joker where it overtook him, and unfortunately his life ended because of that. And I don't know, man, but there's a lot of red flags for me, even because my mind just likes to go out there. There's a lot of red flags when it comes to that character.
Yeah, I can see it.
He was very method. He was very method.
Filmed that movie, filmed that Dark Knight movie, filmed like in Chicago, was Gotham City, majority of it, and they filmed a lot of it near me. And there were a bunch of real police officers who worked on the movie, and they all said, like, once the makeup was on, he was not out of character. Even if he was off character and he was talking to you about the script, it was still like the voice was on and all these different mannerisms and stuff. Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the problem with a lot of performers, right? Is they grasp this thing that they become that gets them to the game, right? Like they get there and they think it's like, okay, this is who I am now. And I think that's when people say, oh, he sold his soul to the devil. It's like, no, he sold his soul to the art, which can be the devil if you let it, right? You know what I'm saying? And
symbolism. Symbolism.
That's where I take it, right? And it's not being woo-woo, because I'll tell you this.
The Undertaker didn't crucify Stone Cold Steve Austin on a cross. It was a symbol. It was a symbolism. That's what they said.
That's good shit.
That is good shit.
That's good shit.
Shit, bro.
No, I think about it because look, I think in the comedy world, greatest example is what's his name? Preacher turned comedian, Kevin, help me.
I'm trying to recall. Oh, Sam Kinison.
Sam Kinison is the greatest example of him losing himself into the art and drinking his own juice. He's the greatest example of that in the comedy world. He was a preacher who said, I want to explore the dark side. He went into comedy. He said he knew everything about the light. He wanted to know about the dark. And in his final words, so they say, he was like, I'm not ready to die. I need to go back to Jesus. And I don't know how true that statement is, but I've heard that multiple times.
What wild stuff, by the way. I don't know. His act is a wild one where maybe it's of the time. See some of those people where you watch their act now, you're like, would this work now? I don't think you could say 95% of what you just said, but different time. And he's definitely a guy who lived documented fairly recklessly at the end of his life, and that's kind of
Fast and hard.
Yes, little in a car wreck, died in a car wreck.
Literally fast and hard.
Yeah,
just like another porno. Fast and hard.
Well, Kev, I know you need to head out here. I know you. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but I really appreciate you stopping by and hanging out with us and talking to us and being on the show, bro. I miss you.
Thank you. Miss you as well. We had a great time a couple years back in Texas, and it was a hoot. Going to be busy with Philadelphia, so hopefully I get to go see the Rocky statue for WrestleMania and see what's up with that.
So they're going to replace him with the great one, or they're going to keep Sylvester?
I think, God, who knows? Man, I'm a huge Rocky fan. I know we're just jumping off into a different topic. I'm kind of okay with them doing a different version of it if it's done right, you know. But I'm also like, just I don't know, do an animated movie, do something different, you know. Like you don't have to do a brand new one. I love the Creed movies; they were good too. So
right. Since we're on the wrestling subject, before you leave,
sure, yeah,
WrestleMania predictions here first.
I'll talk. I haven't talked wrestling with Jose in 2 years. I would love this.
So we're trying.
I want to hear Jose's take before I get into mine. Yeah, maybe
WrestleMania predictions.
Yeah, what do you think, bud?
Let's go, Danny.
I think it's going to be a double cross of a double cross. Okay. I think it's going to be Rocky screwing over the tribal chief and then screwing over Cody. That's what I think. I think that The Rock, like he's always been, he's always out for himself. He doesn't care about, you know, any whatever about family and all this crap that they're building and they're trying to teach us. And I think The Rock has always been after The Rock. Okay. So I love heel Rock. I think it's a little cringy in 2024. I'm not going to lie. It's a little cringy in 2024.
I think that's kind of the idea, though, too. Like,
yes. No shit. But yeah. I do like the idea of Cody finishing the story, but also getting screwed over at the end, like his father.
Jose?
It would make sense.
I think
and the match, for those who don't follow wrestling, is Cody Rhodes, the son of Dusty Rhodes, taking on The Rock, The Rock's cousin, Roman Reigns. The Rock's going to be there. They wanted Rock and Roman Reigns, two Samoan cousins, to have their big send-off, but Cody won the Royal Rumble, and he said, no, that's not happening. I'm going to challenge you and take your title on all these different
look, man, I've been watching it closely. I've been looking at it, and I'll tell you what, dude. I think that The Rock gave it away in that promo when he was pointing.
Oh, this?
When he was pointing.
Yeah, they do the point. Pointing, they do the.
I'm going to guarantee that because you're, and he's pointing at Roman. I think like subconsciously that was like a little sign. So I'm going to say that The Rock is going to screw Roman, and then we'll see Rock versus Cody for the undisputed title on Sunday, the day after.
Here's the one thing I can tell you that's happening right now. They've got the hook in your mouth. They've got you hooked. All right. They have casual fans hooked. I've had more people, and I cover wrestling. You know this. I cover wrestling. I'm on it 24/7. I've had more people who are just casual wrestling fans, and they only jump in after football's done, right? And they'll watch what's going on before WrestleMania, and that's about it, right? And then WWE has all this other very negative news associated with them, the McMahon scandal. I've had people ask me about that, but in the same breath, a lot of comics at a club who follow here and there will hit me up and be like, Cody Rhodes going to beat The Rock? Is he going to beat The Rock's cousin? Like they don't even say Roman Reigns. Is he going to beat The Rock's cousin is what they say, right? And I'm talking the full casual thing. That means this is working. Whatever this is that people are very, very mad about is very much working. Yes, were they going to do Rock versus Roman Reigns? Did they backpedal, pivot, and go into the match? Yeah, they've done it before. They've done it before in like the last 10 years. Everyone's screaming about it, saying it's the worst thing in the world. Isn't being logical. They're giving you what you want, but you still want to bitch if it isn't the exact thing you want. Here's what they're going to give you. You're going to get a big momentous thing. Roman Reigns has had the title for 3 years. He's only been pinned once in a tag team match by one of his cousins. All right. This is family versus family. You have 5 weeks of television to do all of this. Cody Rhodes is over. He is the cross-aisle wrestler. Guys like you and me respect this guy. He's been at it for years. He's our generation's wrestler. I'm of a certain age. He came up into wrestling right when I was out of college, blew up, rooting for him. Family guy, but earned it, right? Earned it. No nepotism. People don't use the term nepo baby with Cody Rhodes. He clearly earned it a long, long time ago. With Roman, he's Darth Vader. He does not think he's a bad guy. He thinks he's a good guy. Manipulating people? Well, that's just what you have to do to keep the title. You manipulate your family to keep your title. What's wrong with this? I'm not a bad person. If you could wrestle, you would. Like, he believes himself. The Rock coming in completely pivots. He's one of the greatest actors in wrestling. Here's what's going to happen. Night one, they're going to have a match of some kind that ties into it. Possibly a tag team match. The Rock doesn't have to wrestle a lot, but it does mean that Roman and, you do Rock and Roman versus Rollins and Cody. They're teasing that. I think Roman doesn't wrestle night one. He doesn't wrestle night one. He's there, but somebody else in his stead is there. The Rock wrestles, okay? And Cody and Rollins are victorious in that match, and Rock is pissed, all right? He's fucking mad. And then they go into night two, and he's still mad, and Cody loses the title. And this is when Rock goes off on Roman, and you are sent off to pasture. You're done, dude. You had the title of all time. You've had this family back you up for years. I was going to give you the main event of your life. I was going to give you my final match, and you did up. So how are we going to have this match again for a title that you just lost, and you just embarrassed the family on the biggest stage possible? You're off to pasture. Monday after Raw, after Mania. Cody's triumphant. That's how you end it. Philadelphia. He ends the biggest title reign of all time. The next night, Rock slaps Roman right in the face and says, "You're done." And he sends him down to NXT and says, you gotta come all the way back up.
Well, I mean, you gotta fight your way off. And also, it may feel like you're diminishing NXT. This is me fantasy booking. It may feel like you're diminishing NXT, but you're taking Rock and you're literally saying NXT is where you go and you reboot the characters and you reinvigorate them. You get them back to what they were, or you give them a whole new coat of paint, and you make NXT this fun, exciting show that's certainly a part of everything. It's going to have a new TV deal, and you make TV partners very, very happy when you have all these different TV partners. So this big character you just lost now feels completely brand new, but still has the name value of being Roman Reigns. And then The Rock can show up on TV from now and then and still be a very crappy heel. And then Cody will always be threatened by the ghost of The Rock for the rest of 2024. And you can do all these different matches with all these different variations that are all consequential and based in emotion. But no, Cody is winning that title. Cody leaves WrestleMania as the champion for sure. You cannot, in this day and age, you cannot keep an audience's attention. And everyone's saying, "Oh, you got to keep the title on Roman because he would beat The Rock's record, the Hulk Hogan's world title reign." I heard some people saying that reasoning to me. I was like, so you're telling me a show that has billions of dollars tied to it, tens of millions just at the gate, you're going to do it again? You can't do it again. This is not. You already did You already did Empire Strikes Back. You did it last year. All right. Now you got to do Return of the Jedi.
Now you got to do Return of the Jedi. You need the Ewoks dancing at the end of the night.
Hell yeah!
So you think this is his Daniel Bryan moment? You think this is Cody's Daniel Bryan moment, where like the crowd?
This is Cody's moment, bro. We can't be comparing it to anybody else.
No, but this
is Cody's moment.
This is bigger than Daniel Bryan, bro.
You've had a guy who's a villain at the top of the card that people like, and they'll buy tickets and stuff like that and see him, right? But he's a villain. He's not a good person. You like him because he's bad. You love Cody because he's good and earnest and truthful. And also, this is a new WWE under a new ownership, and they are not going to have a WrestleMania under the circumstances of everything going on outside of the company. Is in their first WrestleMania where they don't send people away with a completely unfiltered smile on their face. Exactly. Last year, it was bittersweet and interesting and a hook. And like, oh my God, I loved it, right? And they got away with it. It was one of the best matches of the year, but they did it. Can you do that one more time? Can you screw over somebody one more time and have the whole family run out there? No, you cannot. No, you cannot. Roman will be exposed for the hubris of his character. He believed too much of his own bullshit, right? And he will fall from grace, and he will be defeated clean in the middle. He'll be pinned.
Bueno, let's see if Kevin prophesies this is into reality. I'm going to keep a close eye on
Kevin the prophet, the wrestling prophet.
Kevin. Kevin, plug your stuff in before we head out.
You can follow me on the Instagram at Kev Kellam 6, at Kev Kellam 6, at Kev Kellam on the Twitter. All the different things I'm doing on Q101. Listen to that. Roast Battle Chicago. Follow us on all the different apps. Our YouTube channel has a bunch of them for free. And if you're in Chicago or you know anyone in Chicago, for the next 6 weeks, we're going to have shows. You can go to our website, roastbattlechicago.com. Just search Roast Battle Chicago on Google. Our tickets will pop up there. We're going to be this week on February 29th. This comes out on the 29th. You guys going to have this out?
Right? We'll have this out on Friday evening.
So by then we're already out of Lincoln Lodge, but for the next 4 weeks of March, we're going to be at Zany's, world famous Zany's Chicago, right off North and Wells. We're going to be there for the next 4 weeks with our tournament, and we'll have more shows there coming up in April as well.
Awesome. And I'll make sure to put all the links in the description so you guys can make sure you follow Kevin and go to any of his events if you guys are in Chicago. So, Kevin, thank you so much for coming on to the show.
Thank you for having me. Pleasure.
Love you, man.
Yeah, love you guys. Love both you guys.
Thank you guys so much for listening. This has been Cultura Truth Project with Jose G and Danny, myself. Give us a follow. Again, I don't know why I'm doing the promos. Jose doing in Spanish.
Stop doing that, bro. You need to stop cutting me off, man. Guys, make sure you follow us on Sigue on YouTube and on Robo at Cultura Truth Project, Gonzalez Media TV, Facebook, Instagram, and Gonzalez Media TV, and subscribe to the podcast on major platforms, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Google Podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. All right, mi gente, that is it for the show. We'll be back next week. It'll be a good one. Take care.
Good night.